All right, so let's get started. On a 62 TE, we're going to show you how to get the torque converter all the way back in it. A lot of guys ask me that question, do I have my torque converter back in there? If you put it up against the engine and you do not have the converter all the way back in there, you're going to break your pump, damage your converter, wasted all your money, all your time. Watch this video. I'm going to show you the measurements on how far it should be back. I've got the torque specs on the pan bolts at the end. I also got the fluid specs, what kind of fluid you need to use. Also, we have the amount of fluid if you're replacing the transmission or if you're just refilling the transmission. So watch this video. When you go to pop that transmission out and pop it back in there, let us help you get it done. Alright guys, after you got your fluid in your torque converter, what you'll do, just set it right up on that shaft just like that and just start easing it back in there. Torque converters, all of them are different. Some of them are hard to get back in there and some of them ain't. Some of them will go back pretty easy. These here can be pretty hard because of the pump, the way the pump and the torque converter spline together. And you just got to keep working it. Sometimes I pull it back out a little bit and start over. There we go. It's all the way back in there. I always pull them back out just a little bit and give them a little nudge and listen to it. And you hear that hitting kind of hard. If that hits soft, then you know that it's not all the way back in there. So this one's all the way back in there. I'm going to get a straight edge put across here. We're going to measure to this pad, and that'll give you an idea how far you need to have that back in there before you start it up in your engine, up against your engine. Another thing, we're going to try to get underneath of the vehicle and show you how loose this should be, but these are really tight. The only place that you got to go to is the starter here, so it's really tough, but we're gonna attempt to get you that view and let you see how that loose that should be once you're up against the engine. So okay, so underneath the vehicle, just make sure that your dial pins are both in the engine. Last thing you want to do is do all this installing and one of those dial pins be missing. If it is, what will happen is your transmission will be off a little bit and your converter sits in the pallet here, and the converter will be straight, your transmission will be crooked, and it'll wear your pump bushing and your pump seal out, and you'll start leaking. So make sure that those dial pins are both in that engine. Also, if you haven't taken the transmission out yet, you're watching this video before you do not bend this plate. Try everything you can not to bend this plate that goes up against the engine. If you bend that plate, you're in for a treat, because that thing is hard to get lined back up. If it's bent, it's really hard because you can't get your bolts to go into the transmission. So try not to bend that plate if you haven't pulled this transmission out yet. Alright guys, as you can see, we're looking right up in at the flex plate. Let me zoom out here just a little bit. We're right up in that hole there, looking at the flex plate and the hole for the torque converter bolt. This is kind of hard to do. We've got everything bolted up. The engine, transmission are bolted up together, and what we're going to do is try to move the torque converter so that you can see how free it's supposed to be. You see the torque converter moving. What Cody has done is he's going right up in there and just moving that converter so that we can make sure that it's free and everything is ready to be bolted up and finished up. This is kind of hard for me to get a view on and get light on it too, so but that's where we're at now. Here on the end, when you want to turn the flex plate, let me show you. Okay, come right out to the harmonic balancer, and that's how you're going to turn your flex plate so that you can get your next bolt around to you. And that socket right there is, turn around a little further. Right there, 1 1/16. So you've got 18mm bolts for your torque converter. They go right there. And of course you've seen the 1 1/16 for your harmonic balancer. So, alright guys, this is a good time for you to check out your flex plate. What you want to look at here, look through that window and make sure there's no oil in that area. If you see oil in that area, you might want to pull that flex plate off and go ahead and see where that oil is coming from, whether it's the pan or if it's coming from the rear main seal. And then another thing you'll want to look out for is looking at see if the flex plate is cracked or not. The flex plates usually crack right in that area that I'm pointing out there. They're known for having issues right in that area. And then the next thing that you're going to want to is the bolt hose. The bolt hose should be in good shape, but I have seen times where people have, the bolts have loosened up and people have tightened them up, and they would be wallered out real bad and kind of egg shaped. So just make sure that you don't have any problems there. And then last but not least, check out that ring gear. Make sure that none of the teeth have been eaten down on it where the starter comes out. It'll usually do it on the back side, so you don't see it like looking at it like we are right now. You would have to take the flex plate off or look up in there. But alright, so now we're going to look at this fluid chart. I'm going to circle this. It's 9 quarts for total fill. You've got 5.5 quarts for a refill. So that's just a filter and fluid change. You would really need to have 5.5 quarts there with you when you go to change the fluid and filter. Your transmission pan bolt torque is going to be 9 foot-pounds, and your filter bolt torque is going to be 40 inch-pounds. Now, one thing I want to cover with you, I know you're looking at the top of this and seeing where it says 2008, 2016. This is an older book, so what you're looking at there, this transmission was used well above 2016, so don't pay any attention to that. And well, I hope this video helps you. Please subscribe to Cold Man's Auto.